Best scene from the Night Witches. Interior, open cockpit sky, night. POV navigator. The outline of the pilot of our biplane in front of us, in their own open cockpit, obscures some of the view. Other than a crescent moon, only stars prick the darkness. The soft drone of a muffled small engine. Tranquility defined. Super, Soviet Union, Southern Front, August 1942. Super, German-occupied territory. 2 kilometers ahead, a flare appears in the sky, slowly descending and illuminating the forest below. A distant air raid siren. 2 searchlights switch on and sweep the sky around the flare. Glimpses in the searchlights' beams of a small biplane above them, diving and weaving at a sharp angle. Tracer rounds streak towards it. Explosions and giant puffs of smoke high in the sky above the other biplane. Silent explosions on the ground illuminate the other biplane as it turns and makes its way in our direction at a lower altitude. 5 seconds later, we hear those explosions, and the air raid siren stops abruptly at the first one. Searchlights and AA fire follow the other biplane, giving up as it disappears into the darkness. The searchlights start to scan the skies above them as we approach. They know we're coming. With just under a kilometer to go, the quiet engine falls silent and the propeller stops. The noise of wind rustling eerily against the wing's bracing wires, our own anxious breathing, that is all. A sudden dive at a sharp angle, a breath-catching maneuver. The sight of fire on the ground rushes towards us as we make our quiet approach. 8 precisely aligned makeshift wooden barracks in a forest clearing. The furthest 3 on fire. Dots of hundreds of people running around the camp dealing with the fires. We become caught in the beam of one of the 2 roving searchlights blinding us. The dark silhouette of the pilot in front. We have to raise our hand to our face and peer through our fingers. Our breathing becomes quicker. Drastic maneuvers trying to avoid the beam. We're jolted from side to side. The searchlight tracks us, and the second one quickly joins it, making the brightness even worse. Between our fingers, tracer rounds race towards us, and our biplane barely manages to avoid them. The noise of their explosions from above and the sound of their firing from below are deafening. In one wild maneuver, we lose them. We move our hand from our eyes. The full view of the destruction the first biplane has made as our pilot changes course back toward the barracks. Tracer rounds continue. A ripping noise over the explosions. The fabric of the lower left wing has 2 holes in it. The right 3. Sharp twang as of a taut wire snapping. 500 meters above the ground. At our knees, we pull a small lever.
Dropped.
The plane immediately veers violently to the right and away from the target, continuing to descend. The propeller starts up again. The tracer fire continues on as we are lit up by 2 beams now behind us. Multiple explosions on the ground from our bombs rock the biplane from behind, and one of the searchlights blinks out. We continue to descend until the forest hides us from the remaining beam's gaze and the tracer fire stops. The only noise is the comforting drone of the engine and our own heavy panting. We exhale deeply several times and slow our breathing. We fly into the safe, starry darkness. A weary conversation.
How many is that tonight, Katya?
7. 2 more sorties to go.
Take over, will you? I need 10 minutes sleep.
Our hands take the joystick in our cockpit.
I confirm I have control.
The black ghost of the next biplane rushes towards and past us on their own attack run. Fade to black.
I sometimes stare into the blackness and close my eyes. I can still picture myself as a young girl, up there in my little bomber, and I ask myself, how did you do it?
Opening credits. Exterior, Zhukovsky Air Academy, day. Super, Zhukovsky Air Force Engineering Academy, outskirts of Moscow, June 1941. The magnificent building is surrounded by landscaped gardens, beyond which are a number of large 1940s wooden huts. Lush fields dominate the scenery. A sunny, perfect day. Nearby, a large hangar and a runway. On the airbase's apron are an assortment of old wooden fabric-winged biplanes, U-2s, and a wide variety of fighters and bombers set in an orderly fashion. Several planes are in the air, mostly the biplanes, some of which are making slow acrobatic maneuvers. The Yermolayev Yer-2, a medium bomber, makes a bombing run and releases a dummy bomb which almost hits the bullseye of a pitted target on the ground. The plane banks lazily to one side. Interior, Yer-2 cockpit, continuous. The instructor, Marina Raskova, 29, black hair, wide blue eyes, always calm, looks out the side of the plane to see where the bomb has landed. She adds yet another tick against the checklist she is holding. One line is left.
Very good, Alexander. That was always one of your weaknesses. Last one, low-level flying. Descend to 20 meters and hold it for 1 minute.
Test pilot, Alexander, 24, looks anxious.
Captain Raskova, before I complete the test, may I say it's a privilege to be schooled by the first woman to...
Relax, Alexander. You will pass, I'm sure of it. Now 20 meters.
As the plane starts to descend, an urgent klaxon sounds from the hangar. A large red flag is hoisted up a pole next to it. People on the ground and from inside the aerodome and the huts start to run to the main building.
Captain?
Land the plane.
But I only need 1 more minute.
If you cannot follow orders, you will automatically fail. Land the plane. Now.
Alexander says nothing and turns the plane, reluctantly, towards the runway. Interior, Zhukovsky Air Academy, Main Assembly Hall, day. The large marble hall is crowded. About a quarter are women. Marina sits among them, still in her flight suit. Next to her sits Nadia Popova, 19. Overly ambitious, always wears a green beetle brooch. They acknowledge each other. The buzzing from the throng diminishes to nothing as General Zhukov, mid-40s, severe military haircut, alpha, makes his way to the front of the hall and turns to them from behind the lectern. Men in the audience look anxious.
As most of you already know, I am General Chief of Staff Zhukov. I have the heavy duty to report that early this morning the motherland was invaded by Germany.
Gasps from some of the audience. He allows them a moment.
We are still trying to assess the situation as many communications have been destroyed, but I can tell you the attack is along the entire western border, from the Baltics to the Black Sea. It also falls upon me to tell you that our Air Force along the border has been destroyed.
Tears well in the eyes of many, both men and women. All are stunned at the news.
You will all be given your orders later today.
Marina's face is blank. This is business.
Comrades, we knew this day would come. The rich deposits in Ukraine are required by Germany. Many losses have already been taken, many from this very academy, many that you know. Comrades, friends, you came to this academy to learn how to fight and defend the motherland. So did they. This is your moment. This is your moment for revenge. We shall take both hammer and sickle and drive them back, not just across the border, but soon we shall dine in the streets of Berlin itself. Revenge!
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 Revenge! Revenge!